So with my traffic light controller, I tie my counter component with my FSM. So it has a counter that counts the number of cars that triggers the sensors. And my traffic light controller also has a timer, so the east-west direction will stay green up to 5 seconds. And there's also sensors, of course, in my traffic light controller. So I have one for the north-south and one for the east-west. And I have my reset, my clock, and a T5 for my timer, which is 5 seconds. So then I have my east-west count and my north-south count to count the number of cars that's in each direction. And I have my start timer so that it can start the time when the east-west direction is green. It can only stay green for 5 seconds. So in my architecture, I create signals for my east-west and north-south increments for my counter. And then here I create the component from my counter, and I assign its corresponding signals to the north, south, and east-west directions from my counter. Then I have a process that has clock and reset. So if my reset is 1, then it will always go back to the first state. And if the clock is on the rising edge and the clock is enabled, then the current state will equal the next state. So then I have a process for my current state, my sensors, which I named car east-west and car north-south, and my T5 for my timer. So here you can see when in state 0, the north, south, and east-west direction will start at the red light. And so then we'll go to state 1. It will transition from north-south, will transition to a green light. East-west will stay red. If a car is detected in the east-west direction, then it will go to its next state, which is transitioning from red to yellow for the north-south direction. And then it will go to the red. Then every light will go red in both north, south, and east-west direction. I have in state 4 that north-south will be red and east-west will be green. You can see my start 5, which means my timer has started. If the north-south, if there's a car detected in the north-south direction, then the timer is up. In the east-west direction, then it will go to its next state. Otherwise, if the time is not up, then the green light will stay, the east-west direction will stay green for up to 5 seconds. And here you can see I have a couple of increments to count the number of cars in the north-south direction. So here's my test bench. I have my entity, my architecture where I instantiate the component declaration from my components being tied together, which would be like my top level. Then I have my input signals. I also have my output signals. And then I instantiate the unit under test and assign the corresponding signals to the inputs and outputs of my component. And then I have my clock process and my stimulus process where I go through each cycle of the finite state machine. So I'll give you my simulations. So I'm going to explain my FSM and my simulations for both the FSM and component being tied together. So here you can see that nothing is in east, west, or north, south direction yet as far as cars incrementing and triggering off the sensor. So north, south is red, and east, west starts at red light. Then as I go through my finite state machine, north, south will be green while east, west will stay red. And you can see my east-west direction is beginning to increment the cars being detected on in that direction. So here, there's a car being detected in the east-west direction. So north-south will begin to transition yellow since there's a car detected in that area. Then it will go red. And east-west will begin to go green while the north-south direction will stay red. And you can see my north-south direction beginning to increment the number of cars in that direction. So here my car NS is being detected, so my east-west direction will begin to go to red and transition to a yellow light to a red light. And my T5 is equal to 1, meaning the green has stayed, the east-west direction has stayed green for up to 5 seconds. So here you can see it begins, the east-west direction begins to transition yellow, and then red, and then my finite state machine resets and it will recycle again. And it says the FSM and my counter component tied together.